Okay, so what are your thoughts on the impending January 1st implementation of value added tax?
I think this form of taxation or any form of tax reform is where it's much needed in the Bahamas. I think the Bahamas has been has been in desperate need of tax reform for many years. Um, I believe that if we don't do something right away, I think our country will be in a even far worse state. I also believe that any political leader, any politician that opposes any form of tax reform is a danger to our country. A lot of people are, I think, misingenuously spreading information about VAT as if this is the end of the world or some doom and gloom. No, that ain't gonna happen. I don't like tax. Nobody likes tax. But you cannot enjoy the bounty of a country without giving back. The government's responsibility is to make sure that a country has all of the necessary functioning tools to be able to for people to make money. That means a stable democracy. That means try to make sure crime is low. That means make sure the banking systems function. To make sure that people have money to buy your products and services. So, coupled with all of that, if you make money, then you should have no problems being able to give back. You cannot enjoy the bounty of a country without having the heart of giving back something to a country. And VAT is basically the same thing. The Bahamas, every year we borrow some 250 million plus just to meet our obligations. And so the government finds itself at a crossroad. Most times, or oftentimes, the government have to borrow really to meet salaries, sometimes even within a budget cycle. That's a scary thing, because what's going to happen is that you're going to find yourself continuously digging a hole, digging a hole, and digging a hole. And 20 years down the line, when my children are now adults, they found that their country is so much in debt that they can't really claw out. Devaluation of the dollar, tax rating is dropped, so on and so on. And so we have to be sensible enough to understand that we need tax reform. Now, people have been arguing about employment, payroll tax. People have been arguing all sorts of different forms of taxation. Many jurisdictions in this hemisphere has already implemented value-added tax. Now, I think the model exists in many jurisdictions, and it may be, I'm not speaking from the government for the government, but I think it may be easier to copy than anything else, even though I believe that payroll tax may be a cleaner form of taxation. But I think because the model already exists, copying it may be easier than any other form. And so I think that's the direction the government has been taking. But for political leaders to say, oh, VAT is this and VAT is bad, for people who are making money to really try to condemn the government for implementing VAT, I think that is a disingenuous position. I think we are extremely selfish as a people, because everybody knows, the FNM knows, the PLP knows, and anybody with common sense knows that our country is not what we think it is. We are a broke country. And a government can only survive from the resources from its people. Now, what I believe the opposition should be fighting for is not the implementation of VAT or against the implementation of VAT, but I think they should be fighting for how it is administered, who is taxed, and how that tax structure will affect poor people like BEC. Now, I don't agree with VAT on electricity bill, because the electricity bill is already 1,000% inflated. That is outrageous. BEC right now is perhaps the single most destructive force in the Bahamas, because BEC is strangling most small businesses. When your rent is lower than your light bill, or your light bill is twice as high as your rent, then something has to be wrong. BEC is artificially raising its rates, which is strangling the entire small business sector, which is really hurting the economy in the long run. I liken BEC to the Ebola virus. It's a stupid virus because it kills its host. BEC is doing the same thing. If you kill all of the small business people, how the hell you can make money 20 years down the road? The Ebola virus is killing everybody else. How else the virus is gonna last? because you kills your house. And BEC is like the Ebola virus. It kills the very same thing that it needs to survive. And so, I think we got to re-examine certain policies in our country, and we got to be sensible about it. I think we have to take the approach of the heartworm in a dog. The heartworm that lives inside the dog does not kill the dog. It just takes enough for it to survive and for the dog to survive. If BEC, the managers of BEC, is smart like a damn heartworm, then we probably would get somewhere. You don't kill me so that you can get something and I die. Because at the end of the day, you ain't get nothing again. But see, the heartworm knows exactly how much blood to take so that the dog can survive and he can survive. That's the same thing with any form of taxation. Taxation should not be so overburdensome that it kills the people that you want to tax. And so, if I make $1, if you want 7.5% of that dollar, 7 cents, I don't have a problem with that. If I make $100 million next year in my operations, if the government is demanding $20 million, I don't have no problem with that. I mean, at least I got 80, But some people want the whole 100%. They won't give up nothing. But yet still, if they pick up the phone and call the police, they want the police to respond. How the hell the police can respond when the same people are depending on you to pay them? Every time you pick up the phone and call the police, that's a cost, because you got to pay for the radio. When they turn on the car, that's gas cost. And so I don't think we look at this whole thing in a really sensible approach and a sensible view too, because we want everything for free. Imagine now your house is burning down. You pick up the phone to call to the fire department and they said, "I'm sorry, miss, but the government ain't pay us in 2 weeks, and we ain't coming because we ain't got no money. And by the way, the government didn't pay the water bill, so we ain't got no water either." But your house burning down. You see? So we can't be, can I use the word stupid? Silly? We can't be silly in thinking that it's doom and gloom for VAT. VAT is a way for the government now to raise additional revenues to be able to meet those essential services.
Okay.
Now, one more point. One of the major concerns, though, that I have and many business owners have in the country is that if we raise additional revenues, will we continue with the same level of wastage we've been having over the last 20 years? Do you automatically go and buy a new car? Does the minister now decide to go upgrade his office and buy new plush furniture? See, stupid stuff like that. We got to be sensible. We need austerity measures in place to make sure that, yes, we raise an additional $50 to $100 million. And here's how this money is going to be allocated. We're going to outfit every school in the Western District with computer terminals. We're going to upgrade the classrooms. We're going to make sure implement a overhaul of the entire school system to implement computer technologies. And so we got to show how the money is going to translate into something sensible instead of buying the minister a damn new car so he can ride around and look good.
But you spoke about, the persons who have to give back, those who are making money. What about the people who are not making money?
Well, in a society, you have social programs. Whether you are not making money or not, there are programs in place to be able to assist people, whether it be through national insurance, whether it be through social services. So if you get $1 from social services, somebody have to pay for that. You understand? And so nobody really is exempted, because the person who is not working still is a drain on the system, because if he gets sick, he got to go to the hospital. Who pays the doctor? Who pays the nurse? Who pays for the bandages, the stitches, and so on and so on, the anesthetics, and so on and so on. So all those services are basically free for Bahamians, whether he's working or not. So don't tell me that, because he's not working, he shouldn't pay VAT. Everybody should carry a load. So when you buy a soda and you have to pay $1.07 for that soda, you now contributing. And so nobody now escapes, because right now only those who are paying national insurance, who are working, are paying. But even if you're not working and you go and buy a product, you're paying now because you're carrying the load as well too. And that's only fair, because you got a large population of the people who don't work, who don't want to work, and who don't give a damn about working. When they get sick, when they shooting up in the road, who you think got to pay for that? Us. And so we can't take this myopic approach to taxation. The country cannot survive without a sensible form of taxation. And right now, I think the government is trying to find the equilibrium as to which number to come in at and how we're going to implement it. You know, nothing is going to be perfect the first time around. Stop beating up the damn government for everything. We got to be sensible and say, listen, we will find that equilibrium. We will find that that equilibrium as to how are we going to implement the first year, second year, and third year. And we have many examples in the Caribbean to follow. But, you know, the Bahamians got to understand that all of the luxuries and all of the things that we enjoy as a country, somebody pays for it. Nice road, somebody pays for it. Water, somebody pays for it. You know, in poor communities, you get pumps through these corners where they have to pay for water, but somebody's paying for that water. That water's not free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So when the poor goes to national insurance and pick up a check, who's not working, somebody's paying for that. And so we got to understand, we got to teach our people that there's no such thing as a free. When we are now taking care of the elderly, $200-300 a month, you know, that may seem small, but somebody's paying for that. That's coming out of me and you who are working, who are paying, making our contributions. That goes to help X, Y, Z. But I believe that the government is really doing a poor job of really educating the people and really bringing it across to the people as to the importance of VAT. You see, in a country and its people, we have what we call a symbiotic relationship. The country cannot survive without the people, and the people can't survive without the country. So we have to have a balance where both are now in harmony with each other. One is contributing to the other, and the other is contributing to the other. And so that's the only way the Bahamas is going to be better off. That's the only way we can bring down our national debt. And that's the only way that we can have a future for our children, because many Bahamians now who perhaps have the wherewithal are educating their kids for the diaspora to get them out of here. And so if we keep that up, what's going to happen is the Bahamas in 20, 15 years, it's going to be a desolate place full of the rest of us, whatever that means.
What do you think? You touched a little bit on the government's, their failure to really explain VAT to the average Bahamian. Do you think that the average Bahamian is prepared for January 1st?
No, well, it ain't just the average Bahamian, because you got some political leaders who are going around spreading foolishness about VAT, right? Then you get other political leaders who are talking a whole heap of crap because they're trying to just push their political interests. Any political leader or politician who is opposed to tax reform is a danger to the Bahamas. And so, while there may be problems with this, I guess, the implementation, the percentage or whatever, you argue that out, you make sure that at the end of the day the Bahamians get the best deal, but don't say we don't need no tax reform, because no way in hell no F&M or PLP politician can say that the country doesn't need tax reform. We slipping down a slope so deep right now. If we don't fix this, the whole country will collapse. And so we can't be stupid in thinking that it is business as usual. That doesn't make sense. And that is my problem with these people who want to be leaders in our country. They have no goddamn sense. You know, you want to be a leader, you want to, deal with the practical things. The practical things is we need austerity measures, and we need to be able to fix our financial system. The tax reform that we have, the tax system that we have is not adequate. So we need a tax reform. And perhaps when we implement VAT in 5 years, we do evaluation, we found out that's not adequate. Then we have to implement payroll tax on top of that. You never know.
Do you think the Bahamas is ready for payroll and VAT?
Well, I don't know. But what I'm saying to you is that if we all got to put our hands together and bail us out of this country, we got to do that. You understand? Because at the end of the day now, if we got to, instead of giving just 7%, give 20%, that's what we got to do. In some countries, there's something called a debt tax, 70% in Japan. When you die, you got to give us 70% of what you owe. And so we really got it good in this country. We ain't want to give back nothing. In Sweden and Norway and those countries, they pay heavy tax. But their public school system are better than their private school systems. So people don't mind paying tax because they know that their money is going towards education and bettering the society and bettering the community. We can't put a demand on the government if we ain't willing to put something up. You know, it's like people who always get the biggest mouth, you know. They ain't put nothing in the party, but they want to come eat up all the food. You know them? We have plenty of them. Like, that's just the same way. They ain't put $1 in the damn party, but they want to eat all the food. And you can't ask to benefit from the Bahamas if you ain't put nothing in. If you ain't want to pay VAT, if you ain't want to pay your share, then go to another country. Simple.